My sister and friends talked about how I'm not good enough for my boyfriend. They don't know I heard, and I don't know what to do. Firstly, my sister and this group of friends are what I consider my closest friends. I love these girls to death. I literally tried to donate a kidney for one of them. I'm 100% heartbroken. My boyfriend is an amazing guy. He is kind, funny, smart as hell, and is pretty much a model. He's just gorgeous and asexual. This isn't a problem to me, and we worked it out. He's also very open to it, and everyone knows, which I entirely support. We were supposed to hang out a week ago, but after spending about half an hour, his job called him and he had to leave. This didn't bother me a lot because I had a killer headache and went home. My sister and I share an apartment to save money, and we have a year-long lease, so I guess I'm screwed. Long story short, I closed my door, didn't light up, and got a nap. Next thing I know, I wake up to my sister's voice. She and those friends were at our house, and from what I've heard, they were going to a club and were drinking a bit / waiting for the others. I didn't get up because I was lazy and would have to put on pants. Then they started talking about me. I'm not proud, but I was curious. They were talking about how they couldn't believe I was dating my boyfriend, how he was too good for me, how I was too ugly to get a guy like him. My sister then started telling them how being asexual is obviously an excuse to not have sex with me. I'm not pretty, and while it does make me insecure, I know I have other good characteristics, but it was very hard hearing that. They also made fun of my learning disability. They called me the R word, which I can't even effing write. That I wasn't even financially stable. They made fun of my job. They said that I had to beg to be banged. All of my friends laughed and all of them shit-talked me. I was crying pretty hard at that point. They left and I didn't know what to do. I went to bed and basically made myself scarce this week. I get up earlier, get home later, or stay at my boyfriend's place. I've answered their messages, but was somewhat cold. I know I have to talk with them, even if it's just to cut off contact, but I just can't open my mouth right now. I feel so ashamed and sad. My boyfriend is also worried, but I can't get what they said out of my head. I know it's not true, and my boyfriend is asexual, but I feel like I'm not worth being with him. My sister is my best friend. I effing told her how I feel so ugly and too stupid to be with him. I showed her our messages, and we spoke about his asexuality. I love her so much, it hurts. I can't stand looking at her knowing that she was saying those things behind my back, and that none of my friends said anything. I just don't know what to do. I could break my lease, I guess, even though it would be very expensive, but I don't know how to say why I'm doing it or how I can face them. I don't know if I should tell my boyfriend. Navi Mink says, "You should definitely tell your boyfriend everything you said in this post. You need his support, and he sounds like a good guy. Your friends are not your friends, and your sister is messed up. I would get out and limit contact with her. You should confront them individually and start with your sister first, but definitely tell your boyfriend about this and let it all out to him. He will be there for you, unlike your sister and her friends." OP says, "I guess you're right. It's stupid, but I feel so ashamed of it. I know she's the one that effed up, but this is so humiliating." Someone else replies, "Just know that we support you, even though we're strangers. You deserve so much love, especially after something like this, and do not talk yourself down. They should feel humiliated, not you. I understand what it's like to feel unattractive, but you can have all the beauty in the world, and if you're ugly inside, these girls obviously are, it ain't worth shit. Don't be so hard on yourself about your appearance. Us girls are really good at that. Distance yourself from those ugly souls. No one needs that negativity in their life." And OP replies, "You're right. Thank you. I've been trying very hard to work on my self-esteem, especially regarding my physical appearance, so that was a kick in the gut." The Outsider says, "Your sister is in all likelihood incredibly jealous. What she did was the worst betrayal out of this group. She's your closest confidant. You trusted her, and she is your sister. These people also aren't your friends. Even if not all of them hold this opinion, even if this builds slowly due to jealousy and the resentment that it caused, those who simply stood by allowed this to happen and did not challenge it. Tell your boyfriend. Possibly even tell your parents, and do confront your sister. It'll force her to be honest with you for once. And OP replies, I understand that she probably is jealous, but I still can't accept it. Rationally, I know what she did, but holy crap, my mind just can't seem to grasp it. I don't know how I can't to her. Just thinking about it makes me want to throw up. I'm terrible at conflicts. The outsider replies, oh, this betrayal is pretty damn bad. One of the worst non-cheating ones out there. What she did was absolutely horrendous. That you're averse to conflict and can't deal with it likely helped bring this about, as people assume that you won't stand up for yourself or confront them and thus feel they can walk all over you. Yeah, it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. And as much as OP wants to avoid this and, not believe that this is real, I really think OP should bite the bullet and take the advice of these commenters. If not no contact with these people, incredibly low contact is needed and a serious conversation with the sister. This to me is a bridge too far in their relationship. Like, what the sister has done to OP, that's not something that you can so easily forgive, and it's not something you can so easily get over. I don't think their relationship is ever going to be the same after this. And now, on to the update. I showed my boyfriend the last post because I just didn't know how I could say it. He was very sad and disappointed, but being asexual, he has had his fair number of assholes. But he mostly felt angry for me and agreed with a majority of advice that I should confront her. We decided a letter would be the best choice since I actually write a lot of letters and it's not direct confrontation. I like writing letters for moments, like letters for when the person is sad, happy, angry, scared, etc. So I do have some technique, but this was, with no doubt, the hardest thing that I ever wrote. I decided to go for the simple and blunt. I told her that I heard what they said about me, and while I was willing to work on our relationship, I needed distance from her and this whole situation. I talked with my landlord, or landlady, and she was super sweet and had no problem breaking the lease. I offered to find someone to take my place, but apparently she has someone that could use the room, so that's cool. I intended to pack and leave the letter on her bed, but she came home early and caught me. I basically said screw it to myself, and told her that I heard them saying that I wasn't good enough and calling me names. At first, she tried to deny it, which I wasn't having. She then tried to justify and say that I was overreacting, but I just stared at her. Then she finally started to apologize and cry. At that moment, I actually thought that we might be able to save the relationship, but then she started making herself the victim. The main points were: 1. I just can't understand how hard it is to be pretty. Not even kidding. 2. I don't understand how she feels because I'm used to not being the best. Oh, Jesus. 3. It's not fair that I get a gorgeous boyfriend who is completely out of my league while she is single. 4. She feels embarrassed when we go out together and she has to tell people that my boyfriend is actually mine and not hers. And 5. She knows that asexuality doesn't exist and that we're just doing this for attention. I just kind of froze. I wish I had said something, but I just couldn't open my mouth. She then said she was going out to recover from our traumatic conversation and left. I just packed the rest of my things and left the letters on her bed. I'm currently at my boyfriend's place, but I'm looking for a free room that is not super far from my job. I also wrote and sent letters to my friends, quote-unquote, and then blocked their social media and contacts. I'm certain that they'll find a way to approach me as we work close, but I just don't give a damn. Besides all of that, last Friday I had dinner with my parents. I gave them an edited version of what happened, because I don't want to talk about my sex life, and that I broke the lease/blocked my friends. They said that I shouldn't be angry because it was true, and that the first time they met my boyfriend, they thought that I was playing a prank. My dad then started saying that I was very selfish by breaking the lease, and I shit you not, betraying my sister's trust, and that you don't do this with family. So, yeah, I've been ignoring them since this happened, as well as my sister. Overall, I'm fine. I actually feel more tired than angry or sad. In the comments, The Outsider says, "Your sister sounds spoiled. Given your parents' reaction, I know who I'd blame. I'm sorry this happened to you, and that you had to find out how they view you and your sister. While it's sad to lose family, in this case at least for now, you'll be better off once you get over it." OP says, "Thank you. Yeah, I'm beginning to see it, and it breaks my heart." Nocturnal Insomniac replies, "Looks like there's a golden child/scapegoat dynamic in your family. It's sad you're facing this side of your family. Hopefully it leads you to break away from them and make your own family, quote-unquote. Good luck with your healing." Deleted says, "This is a little off topic, but I'm curious as to how your relationship dynamic works with your boyfriend. I don't know too much about asexuality, and you mentioned you have a disability. So if it isn't too personal for me to ask, how does your relationship work? How do you go about a sex life? I don't mean to be offensive or nosy, so apologies in advance. I'm just curious." OP says, "Don't worry, asexuality is a scale, like the hetero/gay. At one side you have the asexual, and on the other, the allosexual. Between you have different shades of grey. Some people don't feel asexual attraction, but don't really care about having sex if it makes their partners happy. Some really don't want to do it, some only feel sexual attraction for those they have an emotional connection to. It's a very diverse community. As for the obstacles of dating an asexual man, I guess it mostly falls into what you consider a deal breaker, what are your needs, etc. I can live without sex. I can live happy without sex. Again, it's about compromise. There are other things in my relationship that are more important to me than sex, and they are being met, so I'm happy. I guess it just goes down to, if you can't date someone without sex, that's okay. If you can, that's okay too. The only wrong thing is to start shitting on the rules." OP on if her parents always treated her sister as the golden child. OP says, "I checked out some of the links that people sent me, and I believe they did. Things like having to give her my clothes if she liked them, or having to eat her food if she didn't want any more. I don't know, I can see how some of the things they did were terrible, but saying they were abusive sounds too extreme." Bubbles the Horse says, "Man, that family is so trash that OP could look like a mashed potato, and she'd still shine like a diamond between them. Honestly, I bet she's average looking at worst too, just based on vibes, and everyone just tears her down because of her prettier sister." Quote, "Saying they were abusive sounds too extreme. Emotional abuse is still abuse. It can take some decades to unpack that your parents are abusive, unfortunately." Absolutely agree, and for some more unfortunate of us, you can be born knowing that your parents suck as well. And then you just gotta accept that reality and continue to exist in spite of that. I don't know which one's worse, knowing they suck or not realizing they suck until you unpack that. I'm gonna go for the former so I don't have to waste my time. But holy shit, this sister immediately turning it on OP is insane. Like, I'm coming to you with how I feel slighted. I've found you out for your terrible behavior. Instantly it gets met with, "Actually, this is your fault. This is not my fault. You're ugly and you don't deserve happiness." What? That's truly diabolical behavior. Like, who the hell do you think you are, saying that as a response? And then the parents kowtowing to it. The parents agreeing with her, being like, "Well, you are kind of ugly, and we thought your beautiful boyfriend was a prank on us. Your existence kind of disgusts us." Oh my god, throw the family away. Throw them all in the bin. The basket of assholes is full when they join. This is definitely a situation where I don't blame you for going no contact with everyone and starting a new life. Absolutely understandable. I'd move to the other side of the country. I'd move to another country if I could. Just truly despicable behavior all around. Thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. I hope that it helps some other people that listen to these. And I'd love to know what you other people have to say down in the comments below. Our next post is by user BurningMan84, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for teasing my friend about not recognizing my kid, thus ruining her marriage and an unrelated engagement party?" So me and my wife have a 5-year-old son. Our group of friends is mostly couples with kids, as we're nearing our 40s, and so a lot of our meetings with friends now include meeting up as entire families, kids included. This can sometimes mean a lot of adults and a lot of kids. One person in this group, Emma, fake name, used to be my roommate in college. She was married and has her own kids, and we hang out with her and her husband sometimes in a group setting, but rarely on our own. Emma also tends to run late often. This is all relevant to the story. As our son is an only child, we sometimes worry that he wouldn't really learn to share or get along with our kids. To prevent this, and while I love spending time with him, I would sometimes preemptively nudge him to engage with other kids when we are in public playgrounds or at the beach or the pool. To that end, when I buy him a water pistol or an RC car or the like, I would often just buy 2 or 3. I'd get to the playground and play with him, and when another kid would show interest in the toys, I'd just go, "Oh, you want to play with us?" and hand him the remote or the pistol or whatever, thus getting the kids to play. This works great quite often, and I have a generally good relationship with the parents in our neighborhood. This is also quite relevant. One day, like a year back, my wife and I were planning to take our kids to the pool. I pack my large bag of pool toys, and Emma texts me. Her husband is away that day, and she's looking for something to do with the kids. I talk to my wife, and I tell Emma that we're going to go to our local pool, and she's welcome to join us, but we're planning on heading there early, so she can just join us whenever. We arrive at the pool pretty early and get a really good spot poolside, right by the shallows. I grab some water pistols, and me and my kids start playing world domination. I'm trying to take over the world and can only be stopped through the power of water pistols. It's a whole thing. The kid loves it. Soon, another kid is there. It's a kid from my son's kindergarten class. He's there with his mum. He, of course, is welcome to join us. We know the family, the mum and my wife are pretty friendly, and our kids often play together. So my wife says that she wants to go for a swim, and the kid's mum says that she wants to join her, and asks me if I'm okay with watching the kids. I say sure, since by this point the kids are blasting each other with water pistols, and I'm just chillin' poolside, just occasionally having to call out, "Oh no, my plans for world domination, ruined!" Because sometimes that's just what parenting is. Then Emma and her kids show up. She's really happy to see me, and I give out toys to her kids. All is going well, then my son's friend runs up and asks for some other toy, and I go, "Sure thing," and hand it to him. Emma goes, "Oh my god, so cute, he looks just like you." I laugh and say, "Okay, cool, but this isn't my kid." Now, in her defense, the kid does kinda look like me, making this kinda hilarious. When my wife and the kid's mum come back, I tell them this story. They also find it hilarious. We all have a friendly chuckle but think little of it. Fast forward to a few months ago. I haven't seen Emma in a while. We're at a friend's group gathering, and it was a good time all around. When we're about to call it a day, Emma and I are at the entrance, she's grabbing her stuff, and I'm on my second trip from the car. Kids' toys, kids' clothes, dirty dishes, Tupperware with leftovers I want, etc. And I call out to Emma's husband and I say, "Hey, can you call my wife and kid over? Just make sure that it's actually my kid and not some random kid who kinda looks like me." I think it's a hilarious callback. He seems confused and kinda angry. He asks what the hell I'm talking about. Why would he call a random kid? I'm also confused, so I tell him the pool story. He doesn't laugh. Emma doesn't laugh either. The entire thing now feels kind of awkward. I awkwardly say goodbye, go grab my wife and kid myself, and we leave. Later that day, I text Emma to ask if everything's alright. I get no reply. I text again a few days later, no reply. I get the distinct sense that I messed up, But also, if she doesn't want to talk to me, I'm not going to force the issue. I leave her well enough alone. At worst, I thought she was mad at a joke that I made, which was apparently in poor taste. Boy, howdy, did I underestimate the fallout of this joke. A few days ago, I arrive at a friend's place and she's there. This is an engagement party, so no kids. I wasn't supposed to come, but I decided to last minute, and my wife was at home with our kid. Emma sees me and is livid. She wasn't expecting to. She only came because she thought that I wouldn't be here. She does, however, take the opportunity to tear me a new one. She calls me out in front of everyone because of my joke, originally said with air quotes. Her husband was furious. From what she said and from what I gathered from mutual friends afterwards, she previously commented on someone else's kid looking like someone who wasn't his father. Except that whole thing led to family drama in Emma's husband's family because in that case, that dude was cheating and that was his kid and a whole bunch of people were really hurt in the aftermath. Emma's husband was furious because he apparently thought she would know better than to comment on kids looking like people again. This sent them down a spiral, especially because the husband apparently thought she told me that other family story and that I was mocking him for his family drama, and he thought the story that I told was just covering for her when I realized I effed up. This was not the case. I had no idea that whole thing happened. Still, he didn't believe Emma when she told him. So, they are now separated. She calls me an asshole and says I ruined her marriage. I am not a confrontational person. I apologized profusely. I say I didn't know, and if she didn't want me telling the story, she should have said something. She tells me that I'm making excuses. This is now a scene. I apologize profusely again and leave quickly after, telling the couple a quick congratulations. I am later told that this was anything anyone could talk about at the party, and now the engaged couple are mad at me too. Emma is even more mad because now everyone knows her drama. I am unfriended and unfollowed on everything. Some friends think that I couldn't have known better and the joke was pretty benign. Other friends said that it was in really poor taste to throw her under the bus, and I am totally the asshole. Emma's best friend, who I also know from college, thinks I did know about the thing with her husband, and now I'm just covering my own ass to get away with being cruel. It's been a few days, and some of my friends will no longer talk to me. Others think that she is wrong to blame me, and that marriage was doomed anyway. Still, I feel really guilty about making the joke, and I obviously wouldn't have made it had I known the trouble that it would cause. I like Emma, and I didn't want to hurt her. I also liked her husband. I'd like to say that maybe he was wrong to let that marriage implode like that because of a stupid joke, but at the same time, I don't exactly know his family drama and their history, nor the specifics of his relationship with Emma, so I can't really say that he's wrong or overreacting. The entire thing just kinda sucks. My wife sorta got my back though. She thinks the joke was hilarious, and actually thinks me breaking up their marriage makes it even funnier because what the hell. She also loves crazy Reddit stories, so she sent me to post this. So at least I've got that going for me, which is nice. So, am I the asshole? In the comments, Deleted says, not the asshole. Emma's husband wanted an out, and you gave him one. It wasn't your fault, and you shouldn't have even apologized. There was nothing wrong with your joke. Honestly though, your friend group sounds like it thrives on drama, and you're probably better off not being friends with the people who took Emma's side. The sassiest panda says, not the asshole at all. And I love how she freaks out on you and publicly airs her dirty laundry, then blames you for everyone learning about the situation that she blurted out. Not the asshole, you had no ill intent. You seem like a decent guy. Hold your head high. You've done enough apologizing. Whatever happened to Emma's marriage isn't on you. This is actually all Emma causing her own downfall. Because what did OP do? Oh, is it a crime to be ignorant of the personal intricacies of someone else's relationship? Sorry for being a functional human being that is now the target of someone else's marriage imploding. Emma is completely to blame for all of this, and Emma is a terrible person for not being honest that OP had nothing to do with this and that OP had no idea. You didn't ruin the engagement party, you didn't ruin her marriage. This is all Emma's fault, and she needs some help, and she needs to fix this. It's not gonna happen, but you should get out and get the real story to these people and fix your relationships with them. Emma needs to be outcast for this, because what the hell? And now, on to the update. I am now updating you because the last few hours have been a lot. It turns out that when I wrote my post, I left out one critical piece of context. I thought that I was a regular person living a normal life. Turns out that I am Chaz, a side character on the worst Gossip Girl episode ever written. So after posting yesterday, reading replies and thinking it over, I decided to reach out to Emma one final time. Some of you thought that I shouldn't, and that these were, in fact, not my monkeys. Others made me realize that Emma was probably in a shitty situation with her husband and his family, and was actively being gaslit. Now, of note here, while as I mentioned we are not as close as we used to be very close. She helped me pick out a spot and let me borrow her car for my first date, with who later became my wife. She was a significant part of my support system during some very rough times in my life, and despite everything, I still felt like I cared about her and wanted to work things out. This is no longer the case. See, from my perspective, I thought we were good friends, and then when she met her husband, we naturally drifted apart, and then this thing happened out of nowhere. This was not what it looked like from her perspective. How do I know? Well, buckle up, because this is absolutely unhinged. So last night, before going to bed, I texted her a long, thoughtful message. I explained that I do apologize for the part that I played in ruining her marriage, and I understand that she is going through a tough time. I understand if she wants nothing more to do with me, but if and when she feels that she wants to talk it out, she is welcome to reach out, and I leave the ball in her court. I show this to my wife, and she's practically giddy. She tells me there is no way this shit doesn't blow up in my face, and I should have just cut my losses, like many of y'all said. Emma shows up at my house at around 7 a.m. unannounced. I ask what the hell. She says she really needs to talk to me. I call my wife to the door and explain this. She sends me off with this woman because she understands that this shit can only go poorly, and apparently she's here for it, and it's my own fault at this point. So, as I said, from my perspective, we were friends, we drifted apart. From her perspective, for the last 15 years, she's been playing some weird game of 4D chess. Or 2 different games of 4D chess? Apparently she had feelings for me back in college, and she was trying to nice girl her way into a relationship with me, by being there for me when my dad died, and when I was struggling with being single. She always gave me everything because she just assumed that I would, at some point, come around. You'd think that me getting married or her getting married would change that, and it did, just badly. Apparently her husband knew about her feelings, which is why he always kept me at a distance. We never drifted apart. He explicitly asked her to not meet with me anymore outside of large social gatherings. That day at the pool? Yeah, that was her sticking it to him, because he was away, cheating on her or something, and he didn't like her hanging around me scantily clad. It wasn't just that he was upset at the joke, he was upset because apparently I was having an affair with his wife and rubbing it in his face. Makes no sense? I know. It gets worse. The thing at the wedding? Well, at least she didn't plan that. I told our friends getting engaged that I wasn't coming. She asked and verified this. She wasn't expecting to see me, and they told her that I wouldn't be there. But once I showed up, she decided to exploit it. She intended to have a huge scene with me so that she could tell her estranged husband and friends that I ambushed her because she broke off our affair. What? What? Oh no. Our affair. Apparently we had an affair. Oh, what affair is that, you ask? I did too. Apparently, the story some people got was that she and I were having an affair, and it ended, and I was stalking her. Her husband left her because he found out. Some people, more inclined to believe her, just thought that was what happened, and wanted nothing to do with me anymore. So why did her husband actually leave? Well, some of you called it. According to her, he was cheating on her a bunch, and overall not a nice person. She never actually cheated on him, but used me to pretend that she did without my knowledge. So after the joke at the gathering, which may have indeed been in poor taste, they had a huge fight and he left the house. As for the thing with his family, from what I gather, it was some dude sleeping with his cousin's wife or some such shit. So anyway, she tells me all this insanity, and tops it off with that my message really moved her and we can still be friends. The reason she rushed to show up at 7 a.m.? My message made her realize I am actually the one who really cares about her, and everyone else in her life is fake and doesn't really care. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but now this sounds like some really manipulative shit to me. And now I'm thinking back to a lot of our previous interactions, and a lot of them also seem like that to me now. I am not a confrontational person. I was willing to accept that I messed up, and maybe some of you were right and the joke was in poor taste, and I'm a huge asshole for making it because I thought that if he knew the story, he would get the call back, and if he didn't, I would tell him a funny story about his wife. I accept all of that criticism. But this? Hell no, I was done. I tell her that I am done with her shit. She can get back to her husband, leave her husband, keep any friends she wants because I am effing done. I can forgive a lot, but she had been basically not communicating with me for over 15 years. I was telling her everything about my life and my feelings, and I was absolutely appalled by just how much of a one-way street it turned out to be. I feel like I didn't ever really know her. Maybe I played a role in that too, maybe I was self-centered or selfish and didn't consider her emotions or her signs. I don't know. And you know what? At this point, I don't think it matters. She lied to me so much. She lied to so many people so much. I just don't care anymore. I don't think there's anything left to this friendship to fix. And the worst part? I just gave you this huge update, and I genuinely don't know how much of it is true. Maybe she was completely honest with me, maybe she lied about everything and we're still playing 4D chess, who knows? Because I certainly don't. And that, more than anything, is why this friendship is over. Because even if I could forgive everything, I can never really trust her. So that's that. There will probably not be any more updates because this was meant to be a light-hearted post, and it turned into a total clusterfuck, and I'm just so tired and so sad. I'm sorry if this wasn't as readable or as coherent as my previous post. This just happened, and I am just exhausted. My wife has been very supportive, though I assume at some point I'm due some well-earned I told you so's. She knows there wasn't an affair, and certainly no stalking, and most of my friends probably know that too. I may try reaching out to some others because, well, I don't know, maybe they were told even worse things about me? But I'm just so done with this, and now I'm going to spend what's left of this weekend with my family and try to put this shit behind me. Thank you all for reading and for your advice. And there's another update, oh my god. Some of you thought that things were going to get pretty crazy. Before I give the update, I should probably clarify some things that were brought up in the comments. First, when I said we were roommates, I didn't mean we shared a literal room. We live off campus in an apartment with another friend. Each had their own room. Second, to clarify, and more on this later, the only person she told about having an affair with me long-term was her husband, now ex. Everyone else quote-unquote heard about it only after the engagement party outburst. Third, my house already has cameras and security. My dogs and her never really got along, so I don't think she's going to be trying anything anyhow. I suppose they were the first to know what's up? Okay, on to the actual update. While unfortunately I do not have the conversation with her recorded, I do have a text from a later time where she confirms making it up. I did not block her because my wife said that it might be better to let her incriminate herself further and have it documented. So I just let her do it for a while, and once I got her to admit that she made the affair up, I stopped responding. Got increasingly angry at text, but nothing yesterday, so hopefully that's done with. She said some pretty nasty shit about my wife, and I considered responding, but my wife laughed it off and said that's just how sore losers are, and I shouldn't engage any further, so I didn't. I also have screenshots from her husband where she talks about the affair she's supposedly having with me. How do I have those, you ask? Well, realizing just how much she lied about to me, it occurred to me that almost everything I know about her husband, let's call him Dave, comes, even indirectly, from her. And by this point, I suspect she might not be the most honest conveyor of events. So I took a risk and texted him to meet up. We had a long talk, and again, he might be lying, of course, but from what he said, he actually never cheated on her, though she often accused him of that. The innocent mistake she made with his family? Yeah, she felt his cousin's wife was being a little bit too familiar with him, Dave, and started actively spreading the rumor that the kid was his, maliciously. This, understandably, caused huge backlash, and was one of the many things which caused Dave to want to leave. The interaction with me in that context was just the final straw. Thinking of that now, the mistake she made with me might not have been so innocent, and I think she might have tried to start some shit if my wife and kids were less good-natured about the whole thing. So anyway, Dave is fighting for full custody, so that can get really ugly. I don't know the legal nuance of divorce, but I assume he's in for a shitstorm. He really likes a lot of our mutual friends and has been a part of the group for quite a while, so he doesn't really want to have to leave or anything. And to be fair, having talked to him versus Emma, I tend to agree. We talked for a long time, and he seems to be a pretty good guy. Though I have been wrong before, and I offered some support because, well, having read my posts, you can probably assume what divorcing Emma is like. He worries about it, and I understand him completely, so I offered support as best I could, and will probably continue to do so. So as for my friends, I sorta took y'all's advice, but not really. I didn't do a group text, but I did give a short summary of what happened, and some choice screenshots to most of my friends. This started some conversation, and a lot of tea was spilled. And some realizations were made regarding the fact that a lot of drama that plagued our group over the years can actually be attributed to misunderstandings attributed to Emma. More tea ensued. Wife is having a blast. So yes, some of my friends were gobsmacked since they didn't really hear Emma's story but understood what a clustercluck this was. Others were understanding. Emma's best friend blocked me, so she got nothing, but I suspect she would remain unswayed regardless. And I suppose that's good. Most people I talked to felt that we should probably cut contact with Emma, and that would be that. Her house in our neighborhood is owned by Dave, and she already moved out, so we're not supposed to be seeing too much of her day to day. I don't want to demonize her. I don't think she was evilly cackling as she tried to ruin lives. I think she's a very troubled person, and I still hope that she finds peace and friends and relationships that would help her through whatever the hell she is going through, and mostly a good therapist. But this is no longer my circus, and she is not my monkey, and so I hope that she does all that way the hell away from me. As for my wife, here things get a little tricky. See, my wife confessed that she and Dave were having an affair all this time, and so we're getting a divorce. I'm kidding about that last part, of course. God, could you imagine? No. My wife is awesome, and remained awesome. Since the situation seems to be mostly resolved, she is now allowed to tease me about it, which she has been. A lot. I might take a while to live this down, but otherwise we are doing well, and for the most part, things seem to have settled down with my friends, though I may want to reevaluate some of my relationships with some of the ones who are more inclined to believe some pretty bad shit about me. And yeah, that's about it. Sorry there wasn't really the crazy showdown that some of you may have expected. I do think this thing is behind us now, and thank you all for reading and for your advice. Marine Olive 76 says, wife is having a blast. Well, it's always good to have good humor and the ability to stay positive during the shitstorm. You have a smart one. Don't let her go. Bored Panda says, Opie's wife is awesome. He needs to buy her like a bouquet of chocolate-covered strawberries or something. She's been an anchor in this hurricane. Opie, I'm glad this is working out and hopefully settling down. Good luck. Captain Delicious Pants says, that's like going outside to shoo what you thought was a squirrel away from your bird feeder and finding an adult grizzly bear instead. It escalated so quickly, what the hell? OP apologizing for there not being a big showdown, as if this isn't the most relieving thing that I've ever read in my life? Jesus Christ. I'm so glad he got out of that situation intact, and I wish the same for Dave. Yeah, I'm gonna need some justice for Dave after that. That was, a roller coaster and a half. I'm flabbergasted, I'm shocked, I need a couch to sit down on after all of this. I think Emma needs a long stay in a hospital for a bit to kind of sort out everything that's going on there. And I kind of agree with you, OP. I don't think you knew Emma. You knew her for 15 years, but you didn't know the real Emma that was trapped inside. The Emma that was crazy. So thank you for coming back with an extra update on top of it all, because that was brilliant, and I'm sure your wife loved it just as much. Jesus. I'd love to know what you guys think of that one. Let me know down below. Anyway, that's where I'll end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.